Hey, everybody, welcome to another episode of Rooted Podcast. We are back and we are going to talk about something that has ruffled a little feathers in the outdoor community. The Tennessee baiting law that was just passed. We're going to deep dive into all the nooks and crannies, talk about all the details that we know thus far, and our experiences with baiting and everything that goes along with that. But as always, Ben, hit us with the good word, my friend.
You got it, brother. All right, y'all. We are in 1 Corinthians chapter 15. Looks like starting in verse 54. Then when our dying bodies have been transformed into bodies that will never die, the scripture will be fulfilled. Death is swallowed up in victory. O death, where is your victory? O death, where is your sting? For sin is the sting that results in death, and the law gives sin its power. But thank God, he gives us victory over sin and death through our Lord Jesus Christ. Y'all, listen, we're all going to die. That's just the facts of life. It's going to happen. However, it's not an eternal death if you walk with Jesus. If you truly believe and follow Jesus Christ, you will walk with him in eternity. Because listen, once you have accepted Christ into your heart, death has no ability to control anything because you are alive in him for eternity. And I'm just here to tell you, I don't want to be on the other side of that corn and go corn. I've got corn on my mind. I just planted corn last week, y'all. And I'm looking out the window and there's corn standing right in front of me. So I got a little tripped up there, but I don't want to be on the flip side of that coin, because that side is death, the grave, destruction, and just awful. Hell is not something that I want to experience. So I'm going to walk with Jesus, y'all. I'm going to walk with Jesus, and thank God for real that he sent Jesus Christ to die on the cross for our sins, because not one of us are deserving, not one of us are worthy to go to heaven. And, it just really blows my mind that he loves us that much that he would do that for us, because I know one of us deserve it.
No, and the thing is, we never will. It doesn't matter
Never.
what all we do or don't do.
And that's the crazy thing, man, is he knew that. He knew that going into all this, that we would never be sinless. We would never be blameless. But he desires a relationship with us. He desires for us to walk with him and love him. And, that just shows you how much God loves us, because he's willing to do something that I wouldn't be willing to do for anybody. I ain't sacrificing my son for anybody. What you talking about? And it just shows you, once you're a father and you grasp what that is, man, that's
Change your whole
next
perspective.
level love of people who are going to curse you, are not going to love you back, and are going to keep habitually sinning every day because they can't help it. We're not going to be sinless until we exit this body and flesh. This flesh right here, sin. Every day, all day, for the rest of our lives. That's just what's going to happen. Now, when we walk closer with Christ, we're going to have more of a conscience of, well, I shouldn't have done that, or maybe I shouldn't do that, but you're still going to sin. Doesn't matter. You're still going to sin until we leave this flesh. So, that just blows my mind that he loves us that much, knowing that that's how we were going to react and that's how we were going to be. So it's just a beautiful thing, man, to know that God loves us that much to give it all for people who wouldn't care, or some of them that wouldn't care, It's just
Absolutely
blows my mind that you can't stop long enough and see God in every aspect of everything around you, in your life, and through your life. It's crazy.
Well, I think a lot of it is just people may not be exposed to it, or whatever it is. But I will tell you this: that's what we're trying to do, and try to get some people knowledgeable on it. And I tell you what else I'm trying to do is, you talk about people cursing and not loving you back. And you know what people don't love?
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, this baiting law has gotten people riled up.
Boy, the old TNSB 0869 has got some people fired up, and that is to allow baiting for white-tailed deer on private property and privately leased grounds. So, there's a lot of people fired up about it because you have to pay a fee, number one. And number two, some people are saying, well, you shouldn't have to hunt over corn to kill a deer. Okay, cool story. I mean,
Look, guys, this is and we're fixing to just deep dive into this thing. All right, let's just back up and let's take this piece by piece. All right, let's talk about the money. So it's $50 a year per person. So it's not per land. It's not like you can just buy a permit for this piece of land. It's per person. And it's $50 if you're a resident, $100 if you're a non-resident. And you have to have it. Doesn't matter. There's really no exemptions. So like I'm a lifetime license holder in the state of Tennessee. I still have to get it.
Yep, me too.
Right? So anyway, we had this conversation in the past of how the TWRA is, running out of money because they're not spending it properly, which is another conversation. But, this is a way that can help with that. Right. And I'm going to be a little more of on the side of glass half full here. I would like to believe that this money, at least some of it can go towards maybe more research, right? Or maybe go towards our public lands and, putting food plots or fixing roads or you name it, right? The habitat, something. So I personally don't really mind the whole $50 thing. It just is what it is to me. I don't know. I'm not getting fired up or, I'm not getting my panties in a wad over it. I'm just like, okay, cool. Because if it goes to conservation, it doesn't bother me. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's how I feel.
So let me just say this: just to bounce off what you just said, as long as it's going to conservation and going to good use, right. Because I've been to some of our public lands, and man, there's no food plots anymore. There's, the roads are trash.
There's no care for nothing.
And I think that, by doing this, I think that, maybe they should hire some more people or whatever it takes to maintain these public lands that we have across the state and make them better. Put the food plots in, fix the roads, and, make it a place where people can go and hunt and have a really good experience.
Yeah. Whether it's that or research or both,
yeah.
I'm all about conservation in whatever aspect that looks like. And right now I'm going to take the path of, I'm going to be a little optimistic and say that that's what, this money will and should go to. Now let's talk about how it's private land only. I wholeheartedly can agree with that. You start getting 1,000 different corn piles on everybody on public land would be doing it. Which is kind of whatever. I guess that really doesn't bother me too bad, but it's different if you have one corn pile and if someone owns, 50 acres versus you would literally have hundreds of corn piles every, pick a number, 10, 15, 20 acres. It's like, at some point, what are we doing? So I don't mind that it's private land only for that reason. Same kind of concept of like, fanning for turkeys or anything. Like, hey man, private land only. It's safer. It's better. It's just kind of what I think, because I think TWRA should be putting food plots and other things. And, the deer are going to go where the deer want to go anyway. That's the best part about it all. It's like, they're going to walk through a corn pile to go eat a white oak.
Yeah, let me just throw this out there,
It's just
John, and
what they're
this is
going to do.
probably going to ruffle some feathers. But, you know, thing of it is, I don't think government should ever have the ability to dictate what you do on your privately purchased land that you own. And I have a real hard time with, people getting upset. Well, it's private land. Okay, cool. I work, whatever. You worked your whole life to get it. You shouldn't have anybody telling you what you can and can't do on privately owned land. Now, granted, I see the other side of that coin too. The wildlife are a public entity. I get that. But, if you have a massive tract of land, those deer aren't leaving that farm. They're going to be somewhere on that farm, eating, sleeping, pooping, drinking water, all of it. They're going to be around there close. They ain't leaving too far. But I also understand the flip side of the coin too. It is a public resource and it has to be managed as well. But I just I don't know. I'm kind of private when it comes to the private land stuff. I think that if you bought and paid for it, you should be able to do whatever you want. I mean, within reason. Like we're talking about hunting here, not anything crazy.
Yeah. I mean, I I can get that. To me, that's not a TWRA issue. That's
Mm-hmm.
a
That's a
Constitution, government, Washington D.C. issue.
yeah,
Because I
yeah, it
mean, it's
is.
like and then you get into the conversation: do you really ever own it? Because if you quit paying taxes, gets
Yeah,
taken away from you. So I mean, that's a whole nother can of
yeah,
worms. But
that's true.
to me, it's just like,
Yeah.
look, here's the rules. This is what got
Mm-hmm.
approved. Okay. And by the
Mm-hmm.
way, you cannot play by the rules and hope to God you never get caught. That,
Yeah.
hey, by all means, tear it up. Hope to God you don't get caught.
Yeah.
Um, you know, but to
Yep.
me, for $50, and I'm going to believe that it's helping conservation for right now,
Mm-hmm.
at least. I mean,
Yeah.
I would love to believe that we're going to be able to track this money. I don't think that's ever going to happen either. But
Yeah.
just as far
I
as the
don't think so
law is
either.
concerned, I'm just talking about what the law's doing. I'm I'm all about paying the $50. That way I can just go in there and tear it out. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Now, of course, not everything is finalized. It, from the things that I saw and read, is it looked like they had until August of 2026 to kind of nail down a few details. But
Mm-hmm.
so it seems like it won't be this deer season. It'll be the following. So, you know, to me, that gives you a year, to that gives you 12 months and probably a little more like, 15 months to kind of figure it out and get over it, I guess, and save up your $50. I
I was
mean,
about to say put $50 in the can for next
yeah.
season. I
I mean,
mean,
dude, if you put,
man,
$50 a month.
some of the things that they've got to figure out is how much bait you're allowed to put out, and I don't know why that matters, but what kind of bait,
Yeah.
and there's several other stipulations that they have to figure out, and I get it. They want to be on top of the game, and that's right. So one thing that y'all need to know too is by buying this permit, you are permitting TWRA to voluntarily come on your property. Just know that. So they can inspect your bait piles.
Yeah. Which again, now we're getting into like, okay, this isn't about baiting anymore. You know,
Mm-hmm.
that's something completely different. Um, and I think that's when they're where the detail part will kind of come into play. They may say you're only allowed to have this out, not this, or only so much, or yada yada yada.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Now look, Tennessee in general, and I've said this before, I've said it for years. It just has never made sense to me that we weren't allowed to bait. Because technically, I can bait. I just have to grow it.
Yeah.
So, like, what's the difference of, me planting an acre of corn or putting out a bag? Like, I get the difference of I put in the hard work, and there's something to be said for that. You
Mm-hmm.
you put in the hours, you paid the money, all this. But we start talking about CWD, which is why a lot of people are anti-baiting. Buddy, I'm just right here to tell you that deer is going to get CWD in a planted cornfield or a bag of it. That's just going to happen. Or, a licking branch or a watering hole or whatever. That's just going to happen if it's going to happen. I'm just right here to tell you.
So I'm gonna say this: a deer is a herd animal. So think about cows in a field. They're herd animals. They hang around each other. They're sleeping in the same spots. They're crapping in the same spots. They're eating in the same spots, going to water in the same spots, and when the rut comes, they're fighting. How are you going to control saliva exchange during a white-tailed deer fight? You're not going to control that. So my view on CWD is it is a made thing that helps control populations so they don't get overdone. It's like blue tongue. It's a thing that comes in every now and then and takes out the older deer. But it's bad. It's hard on those deer. And I just think that there's no real way to control CWD in a herd type animal. I don't think there's any way to control that because, once again, they're with each other all the time. And I'm not getting in the middle of two bucks fighting. I'm just here to tell you. Unless I got the old 6.5 PRC or 300 window mag ready to rip and drop one in its tracks, But other than that, I ain't going to get in a dissertation between two bucks fighting just so I can save them from getting CWD. I'm not doing it. And, there's, I mean, like you said, even in a cut cornfield, they can get CWD. So there's a whole bunch of different ways that these deer can contract it, transmit it, yada yada. I think that is just one of those things.
And look, also in Tennessee, you can put out a pure mineral or a pure salt block all year round, 365, 24/7. And yes, you can hunt over it. It's also perfectly legal. So if you're attracting this deer with a salt block, guess what they do to salt blocks? They lick the fire out of them. You think when 4 deer get on that, CWD magically doesn't happen? Does the salt magically kill the CWD? I mean, get out of here with this crap, dude. I'm not buying it. So, this idea that just, this bill is going to ruin hunting because it's going to kill all the deer and everybody's freaking out. Like, man,
it ain't gonna kill all the deer.
It's not going to do it. And I'll tell you this right now. If you find me a study that says corn piles kill deer, buddy, I'll quit doing it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd be the first one to say, all right, hey, I'm done. I don't want to be the reason that I'm making 1 million deer get CWD, but it's just not the case. I mean, good grief. It's not the case at all, in my opinion, So some other things that people have been saying, getting away from this CWD talk, your boy will go on a rant here if we keep on. But, a couple other, I guess, questions or concerns that people in the community that I've seen, and people talking about it in different forums, people, and we kind of touched on this, are saying that this bill is going to make it easier to kill deer.
False.
Okay. Yeah, exactly.
False.
Let's deep dive into this. Look, we have hunted, along with many other people, I'm sure. We have hunted in states that it's perfectly legal. Georgia, Kentucky, Oklahoma, Texas, just to name a few. All right. We have sat there and not seen a deer over corn. We've sat there and have seen a pile of deer over corn. Not saying deer don't come to feeders and stuff, okay? But what I'm saying is to consistently kill a deer, and you really want to talk about consistently kill a big giant deer, an old mature buck, yeah, good luck. The corn pile is not your golden ticket to just do whatever you think you're going to be able to do.
Nope.
It's not going to happen. So, especially in this state. And why do I say that? So in Oklahoma, the year that we were there, dude, there was like no vegetation for these deer.
No.
There was nothing. I mean, they hardly had any natural browse, right? So when the feeder went off, the deer came in. Okay, that's cool. The deer we ended up shooting in Oklahoma, okay, feeder goes off, right, and nothing happens. And then literally like an hour later, this deer just comes like strolling by. So it's like, I don't really think that deer was, it's not like he was running to the corn. I think what that deer was doing all alone was just checking where does usually are, which, happens to be a feeder, But do I think it makes it any easier? No. I mean, you look at our deer in Georgia, we've talked about this before. He was just chasing does and he ran right. He didn't care about that corn pile. I promise you that. Didn't even sniff it. So, and then we've been in other states where, I mean, we've sat there and not seen a freaking single deer, doe or nothing, hit a corn pile. So, I just don't think it's the end all be all answer to everything. It's my thoughts on that.
Well, I'm going to say this. So you have to think about it like this. The buck's not going to lose his senses just because there's corn out. He's not going to stop hearing. He's not going to stop seeing, and he's not going to stop smelling. It's not like you're deleting all of his senses that he naturally knows to stay away from. So you still have to hunt. You still have to figure out where these deer are. Sure, they may come to a corn pile and you get some good inventory of what deer you have on the farm. But more importantly, the hunt that you were talking about in Oklahoma, you forgot to mention the part where we sat there for 3 days and did not see a buck.
Yeah, exactly.
3 days, no buck. We saw a handful of does. And then when we killed him, he was the only deer there. And that was it. The only deer that walked out just so happened to be him. And
by the way, sorry, Ben, but really quick, in that camp, I also forgot to mention how many people were hunters were in that camp.
Oh, there was several.
But I was just say 7 to 10.
There was a bunch, and
how many
there
killed?
was 5 of us.
I'm about to say half, maybe 6 out of the 10. But my point is, it wasn't 10 for 10 or whatever the number is.
Nope, it was not.
So
it was not, and aside from our hunt in Georgia, we had a pile of corn down there. That buck didn't check up, just like you said. He didn't look. He didn't care. He was after a doe, and that made no difference.
Didn't care
to that deer whatsoever. What got that deer over to us was me hitting that grunt call, because he was going through the swamp, and I just so happened to notice him. Because John, you had said, "Hey, I think there's something moving over there," and I grabbed my binoculars and looked, and I was like, "Oh snap, there he is!"
Big boy.
I hit the grunt call, one good time. And here he comes. Like, he didn't even check up. He just turned immediately and ran straight to us. And, that dude was looking for a fight. He wasn't looking to eat. He was looking for a fight. And another instance, another buck I killed in Georgia. I was sitting over a big old feeder that had peanut hearts in it. And, man, this buck come out across the field, didn't even look at the feeder. Didn't even care. Just started eating the food plot. Didn't even go the feeder. And, I just was like, oh, that's a good deer. Well, pow, dropped him right there, baby. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, the point is that just by putting out corn is not going to make it to where you're going to kill or see deer every venture to the field. It's just not going to do that, because they also have other food sources that they prefer over corn. I promise you, they prefer a nice acorn crop over corn every day of the week.
Oh,
Guaranteed. Gonna
yeah.
happen. Or a good stand of soybeans. They love them soybeans. I'm telling you, I'm watching them right now in my soybean fields, hammering them. And, the thing of it is you still have to know how to hunt. You still have to know how to scout. And by golly, if it's legal for me to put some dang corn out, I'm going to. And I'm still going to plant my food plots. I'm still going to do all the stuff that I always did.
Absolutely.
I'm just going to make sure that they can have enough food. Let's say we get a massive snow, okay, like we did last year, and all the food plots were buried. Well, my mind goes to straight conservation mode. Like, how are these deer going to live? Well, yeah, obviously they know how to live, but it's our job to take care of these animals and to make sure they have everything they need to survive these harsh winters. So my whole point here is if it's going to snow and they don't have as much browse, well, hey, if it's legal, buddy, I'm going to throw out a mess of corn or whatever so they can have something to eat on to fuel their bodies. Because let's think about it. They just came out of the rut. They're depleted. They're worn down. Yeah, sure, they got to eat some food plot before, the hard snow comes. But still, and it's not necessarily going to kill your food plots, but, we just want to be able to give them everything that they need at any given point throughout the season. And I'm talking from the end of deer season to the beginning and in between. We just want to be able to have enough food. And you don't even have to put out corn, guys. You can use like roasted soybeans, which is really good for the deer. It's really high in fat. It's really high in protein. So you have to think of this as a nutritional value as well, instead of just hunting over bait to increase your odds. Think about, what am I doing for this population of whitetail to not only increase the milk production of my does, because let's face it, I'm just about to bust everybody's bubble right here, John. Everybody talks about big bucks. Well, you know what? A big buck starts as a fawn. Every deer starts as a baby. And how does that baby take off and thrive? Through its mama's milk. So we really need to focus on making sure that our mama deer, our does, have more than enough for what they need to produce the highest quality milk. So that way these 5-year plan bucks, does, all of them can have enough to grow quickly and be able to run away from predators. So if you're looking at it from that angle, it's like, oh, okay, well, I'm really diving in and I'm really helping these animals thrive to the best of their abilities. Now, when you start doing that kind of stuff and looking at it from that angle, well, then your big bucks are going to get even bigger because you're taking care of the mamas, and it just ultimately leads to the bigger bucks getting bigger because they have everything that they need. Let's face it.
Yeah, it's a domino effect.
It is. And, sorry I'm on a rant here, but an antler is just an excess of what the body does not need to grow or sustain. So that's all that is an excess. So what you want to do is provide them with enough, and it's genetics, genetic maturity. I haven't seen many wild deer that are 1 year old that are 120, 130, 170, 180 inch deer, unless they're in captivity. Haven't seen it in the wild much. So, I'm just saying, man, you start looking at it like, hey, I'm taking care of these does, and that's what my plan is to make sure that these deer have everything they need and can grow up for the next 5 years. Well, guess what? You have just made yourself a proper plan to ensure all wildlife on your farm, especially your whitetails, have what they need to thrive on every level, whether it's the fawns, the does, the young bucks, and mature bucks. They all have what they need to grow and thrive.
Yeah. And, look, this bill is not going to be the reason, right, that like the deer population lives. Okay. This bill won't be the reason that it thrives, but it could help it. It could most certainly help it. And it, to me, the biggest thing, right, is like you can already put corn out in this state. You just can't hunt over it. So it's like all this bill is doing is giving us the ability to hunt. So, to me, it was kind of just like a no brainer. Like, you already let me do it. I just can't hunt over it. What's the sense of that? That's just dumb. It was
Or
really
I
just
can
like,
just go plant 30 acres of
yeah,
corn.
it just don't
Bush
make
hog.
any kind of sense. Like, I mean, I could plant my little half acre all in corn, just like you're saying, or soybeans, or like chufa for turkey, and it's all legal. Like,
Yeah.
dude, but by golly, if I was to take some of that bush hog corn, pick it up, take it to the next field, all of a sudden, now we have a problem.
That's
Like,
baiting. Yeah,
it
that's
just made
baiting.
no sense. So, to me, I like this. I like this baiting law, whatever you want to call it.
Of
I'm
course.
happy about it. Um, I also kind of like that we called this a few months ago. I do like
Yeah.
that as well.
Yeah.
We may or may not have said exactly this. So, hey, Ben, maybe people are listening. I don't know.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't
Maybe
know.
people actually do listen to us jibber jabber every once in a while. But,
Yeah.
all I'm saying is, I'm glad that we're able to do this because you know what else it's going to do? And this is really kind of the ticket for me. All right. I'm going to break it down to you like this. If you're taking a kid fishing, right? Kid's never been fishing before. Kid's 6, 7, 8 years old.
Yeah.
And you're like, all right, I'm going to do my duty as an outdoorsman to introduce the outdoors to the younger generation.
Right.
Here we go. All right. Are you going to hand that kid a flipping jig, bait caster on the front of a bass boat running the trolling motor?
No.
Or are you going to give that kid a nice little ultralight with a freaking bobber, a hook, and a worm on it?
Bobber, hook, and a worm, baby.
Of course you're going to. Why?
Yeah.
Because it's easier. Does that make you any less of a fisherman because you're using a bobber and a worm? No. I mean, my God, what are we even talking about here? So, because listen, every kid and every hunter who started out, whether you started out as a kid or 50-year-old, it's way better of a time when you're seeing critters.
Yeah.
So, if that deer pile helps the kid see a deer, and it may not, right? Because I get it, it may not. It's not a guarantee because we just talked about that. But even if it lets them see a doe, a yearling, something, it's going to keep them. It's going to be like, whoa, look at that.
Yeah,
And by
no
the way,
doubt.
the corn pile is going to attract, squirrels, songbirds, all these different things. They're going to see the wildlife. Like, oh, look at that. Cool, cool, cool. And then, hey, cool. Maybe a deer's going to walk by. Right. And so to me, yes, you don't need it to hunt. No one's saying you need it. We don't need food plots either. Right. We don't need anything. It's super cool to have, though. I like it. I like food plots. I like shooting houses. I like tree stands,
Yeah.
I like this idea that, everyone thinks that if you're for this bill that you need a corn pile to kill a deer. Like, no, dude. But yeah, man, if it's legal and I can do it, sure. And by golly, if it can help the younger generation even get interested because they know they at least have a chance to see a deer.
Yeah.
That's worth $50 in my eyes.
Yeah, me too, man. And the thing of it is I don't really care what anybody says. If they think that I have to have a corn pile for the ability to kill a deer, they are sadly mistaken because I have killed more deer not in a corn pile than I have in a corn pile.
Correct.
So, there was a long time where you couldn't do it in Alabama. Guess what? I grew up in the hills of Alabama and I killed a lot of deer.
Yeah.
I've killed a lot of deer here in Tennessee with no corn pile. Because we hadn't been able to do it. So I went out, I did the research, I figured out what I could and couldn't do. Yeah, I planted food plots. You dang right I did, because I'm looking at it from a conservation standpoint. And, I just want people to understand that, hunting is more for me than just bagging a trophy. It's a supply of meat. That's what it is. So at the end of the day, all this hoopla about, oh, I'm a better hunter than you, yada yada, whatever, dude. I don't care. I don't care who's the better hunter. All I care about is making sure that I've got enough food for me and mine, and that is all in the world I'm worried about.
That's it. And if it's
And
legal
being in God's creation,
and you're gonna have fun,
you can't ever tell me that
then
it's
do
not
it.
a good
'Cause
time
the
to
best
wake up
part
and
about
watch
this
the
bill that's got
birds
passed, the
in
best
God's
part
creation.
about any of it is, by golly, you don't have to buy it and participate. You ain't got to do it.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't want to
if you don't
buy
want to
it,
do it,
you don't want to
don't do
pitch
it.
in, then don't. Exactly. Okay.
Don't do it.
And by the way, that's great. Good for you. I'm not mad at you because you don't want to do it.
That's
But
awesome.
don't be mad at me because I want to.
Yeah. Hey, look, I'll do whatever is legal to put food in the freezer. Because, I mean, that's the whole reason why we hunt is to put food in the freezer. That's the point. So, that's just my opinion on that. But, it is what it is.
Yep. And I know someone listening is going to shoot an absolute golly whopper over a corn pile next deer season. Not this upcoming deer season, but the next one. Oh, man. Because it's going to happen.
2026, y'all. Not this year. Yeah, it is.
Right. I mean, so I'm not saying that you can't kill big deer over it, but, with the amount of people that are going to have it, it will not be a lot. To me, it doesn't really change anything other than the fact that you can legally hunt over it. As far as, changing how the deer's going to react or the deer's going to do, I'm just right here to tell y'all, I live in a very small town in Tennessee. Ben lives in an even smaller one.
Yep.
Look, I will tell you, I follow the law 100%.
Yep, me too.
I can also tell you, I know a lot of people who don't.
Yeah, no doubt.
So if you think that all of a sudden there's going to be corn piles magically that weren't there before, you're also sadly mistaken. I'm just right here to tell you.
Yeah,
because I know some by golly hillbilly people who, buddy, they've been putting out corn since before I was born. So, yeah,
they don't care. They're going to do whatever. It's just what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, is what it is.
Good for those people. I'm not that risky. I follow the rules.
Yeah. Yep. Same here.
I will gladly pay my $50 to not get a fine. I'll tell you that right now. Gladly.
Yeah. Same here. So, no doubt about that.
I know this has been a lot of opinionated things going on. So, Ben, just to reiterate the facts, the Tennessee did pass a baiting law that you could hunt over bait. More specifics, more kind of guidelines. They're laying down the tracks for that still, but it is definitely not for this upcoming deer season, for the 26th season.
Yeah,
so
26.
That's what it is. It's $50 for residents, $100 for non-residents, and private land only. So all in all, I'm for it. I'm in agreement. And I'm also for looking at the data, right, whenever it comes out. And if it's proven that putting out bait really, really hurts the deer and hurts the population, hurts the herd, then I'm the first one to say, hey, let's not do it. And I also would urge TWRA and this committee and these lawmakers, right, that made this law, because another thing to be clear is your TWRA agents didn't make this law. They had nothing to do with it. They're the people that are going to enforce it, but they didn't make it. So don't be mad at those people. Those are fine people doing a fine job. Don't be mad at them. You want to be mad at somebody, go talk to your lawmakers or the people on some committee. Don't be yelling at these folks. But
that's right.
I would just say I'm all for it, and I would love to see where the money goes as well. Because if they can prove to me that the money went to something cool, again, research or public land upkeep, whatever, hey, it's a win in my book.
Yep, absolutely. Same here. But I just say, like I always say, follow the laws and don't hunt over bait this year. It's not
Yeah, don't do that.
2025. It's for 2026. Let me be very clear. For 2026. Not this year. Next year.
So,
and I know that the TWRA is going to, give an announcement and, go through all the details and all the rules. And listen, a lot of people don't like the TWRA, but I got some good friends that are in there, and they're great people, man. They're really good dudes, and they're really good and love being stewards of the land. And not everybody is what you think they are. There's a lot of good folks in there too.
Absolutely. So, pretty much just to end it, I'm all for it. I'm excited to see what happens with it. And, at the end of the day, guys, just hunt, be happy. It's not that serious. It's a freaking deer. We're all going to be okay.
That's right. That's right. It's all a deer, and, it's all about putting food in the freezer. And listen, if it's legal, I'm for it.
Yep. So, anyway,
but hey,
I think I'm done ranting about
that.
But,
yeah, me too. With that, y'all, look, thank you for listening. This concludes this episode. And with that, the redneck is out.
See y'all.